The massive creature floated in space like a dark moon. Its surface was wet and pulsing, covered in veins that glowed red with stolen energy. This was a bioship of the Dominion fleet, and it was hungry. Commander Vexitar stood on the bridge inside the creature's belly. His 6 arms moved across control panels that were grown from living tissue. The panels felt warm and soft under his claws. Around him, other crew members worked at their stations. They all belonged to the council races, the rulers of the galaxy. "Target the 3rd planet," Vexitar ordered. His voice came out as a series of clicks and hisses. "Begin the harvest." The bioship turned toward the blue-green world below. Viridian Prime was home to 12 billion peaceful beings. They had never hurt anyone. They grew food and made art. They did not even have weapons, but the council did not care about such things. The bioship opened its mouth. The opening was 10 miles wide and lined with teeth made of living metal. Deep inside, organs the size of cities began to work. They created a beam of pure hunger, a force that could drain the life from anything. The beam hit Viridian Prime like an invisible hand. The planet's forests began to turn brown. The ocean started to boil. All the energy that made the world alive flowed up into the bioship's waiting mouth. The creature grew bigger as it fed. Its skin became brighter. The red veins pulsed faster. This was how the council had ruled for 3,000 years. They took what they wanted from the weak. On the planet below, the Viridians ran to their ships. They were not fighters, but they tried to escape. Most of their vessels were destroyed before they could leave the atmosphere. Only a few small ships managed to slip away into the darkness of space. Vexitar watched the planet die and felt satisfied. This was the natural order. The strong consumed the weak. The council consumed everyone else. "Send the report to the High Command," he said. Another system has been brought into the fold. The message traveled across the galaxy at faster than light speed. It reached the council homeworlds in the galactic center. Here, 3 ancient races lived in massive cities that floated in space. They had built these cities from the bones of dead worlds. The Mordak were the first race. They looked like giant insects with metal wings. They controlled the bioships and loved to watch worlds burn. The Cathani were the second race. They had tentacles instead of arms and could live for 1,000 years. They made the laws that kept other races as slaves. The Urak were the third race. They were the smallest but the smartest. They created the technology that let the bioships drain energy from living things. Together, these 3 races ruled over 10,000 different species. Every world in the known galaxy paid them tribute. Every race served their needs. No one had ever successfully fought back. High Admiral Zekmoth read the report about Viridian Prime. He was a Mordak, and his metal wings clinked as he moved. The destruction of another world meant nothing to him. "It was just business. How many bioships do we have now?" he asked his aide. 50,000, Your Excellence," the aide replied. "Each one capable of draining a star." Zekmoth nodded. The bioships were living weapons that had been grown over millions of years. They could eat energy from any source: planets, stars, even black holes. Nothing in the galaxy had ever been able to stop them. "And how many races have we catalogued?" Zekmoth continued. 10,047, Your Excellence. All have been brought under Council control. This was how the galaxy worked. The Council sent scout ships to find new worlds. When they found intelligent life, they gave them a choice: serve the Council or be destroyed. Most chose to serve. Those who refused were eaten by the bioships. The Council believed this would continue forever. They had the strongest weapons. They had the most advanced technology. They had never lost a battle. But far away, in a distant corner of the galaxy, something was happening that would change everything. Earth hung in space like a blue marble. It was hidden behind a thick cloud of gas and dust called the Helix Nebula. The humans who lived there had never heard of the Council. They had been alone in their little corner of space for thousands of years. Captain Daeho Kim stood on the bridge of his ship. The vessel was called the Taiguk, and it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull was made from quantum crystalline metal that sparkled like diamonds. Its engines used power from tiny artificial black holes. Daeho was reading reports from the outer monitoring stations. Earth had sensors hidden throughout the nebula. They watched for any signs of alien life. "Captain," said Dr. So-Young Park, his science officer, "we're getting a distress signal." The signal was weak and broken, but they could understand it. It came from the Viridian survivors who had escaped their dying world. The message was simple: help us. They ate our planet. They eat everything. Admiral Wansik Lee arrived on the bridge. He was the commander of Earth's defense forces. His face was grim as he listened to the signal. "How many ships do these council forces have?" he asked. "Unknown, sir," Dr. Park replied. "But the survivors say they've conquered the entire galaxy." Wansik was quiet for a long moment. Earth had always known that other intelligent life existed. They had prepared for this day. But they had hoped to meet peaceful neighbors, not conquerors. "What are our orders, Admiral?" Deho asked. Wansik looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, innocent people were being killed by creatures that ate worlds. Earth had the power to help them. The question was whether they should reveal themselves. "Send a message to the Earth Council," Wansik said finally. "Tell them we have a choice to make." The message traveled back to Earth at light speed. In the capital city of Seoul, the leaders of humanity gathered to make a decision that would change the galaxy forever. President Hye-jin Nam read the report with growing anger. The council races sounded like monsters. They destroyed entire worlds just to feed their bioships. They kept thousands of species as slaves. "Can we fight them?" she asked General Chang Ho Lim. "Our technology is different from theirs," the general replied. "They use biological systems. We use quantum mechanics. Their ships are alive. Ours are machines. But can we win?" General Lim smiled. "Ma'am, we've been preparing for alien contact for 200 years. Our ships don't just use star power, they use black hole power. I think these council forces are in for a surprise." The decision was made. Earth would help the Viridian survivors. They would reveal themselves to the galaxy. And they would show the council that their time of ruling through fear was over. In the depths of space, the bioships continued their work. They ate worlds and grew stronger. The council races celebrated their power. None of them knew that their worst nightmare was about to come true. Somewhere in the darkness, human ships were powering up their engines. The galaxy was about to learn that there were things in the universe more powerful than hunger. The age of the council was ending. The age of freedom was about to begin. The council scout ship drifted through space like a giant jellyfish. Its transparent body pulsed with blue light, and long tentacles trailed behind it for miles. Inside the creature's head, Sub-Commander Velkesh watched his screens with boredom. He was a Cathani, with gray skin and 12 tentacles where his arms should be. His job was to patrol the outer edges of council space, looking for new races to conquer. It was usually very boring work. "Sir," called his scanner operator, "I'm detecting something strange." Velkesh turned his attention to the main screen. There, coming out of a gas cloud, was a ship unlike anything he had ever seen. It was perfectly smooth and silver, shaped like a sword. Strange blue lights ran along its sides. "What kind of bioship is that?" Velkesh asked. "I don't think it's biological, sir," the operator replied. "My readings show it's made of some kind of metal." Velkesh laughed. "A metal ship? How primitive. Every civilized race in the galaxy used bioships. Living vessels were stronger, smarter, and could heal themselves when damaged. Only very backward races still used crude metal machines. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "Let's see what these primitives want." On the bridge of the Taguk, Captain Daeho Kim received the incoming signal. He was a tall man with kind eyes and graying hair. Beside him stood Commander Ji Hai Song, his first officer. She was younger, with sharp features and quick reflexes. "We're being hailed." "Captain," reported Communications Officer Jae Song-yoon. "Put it on screen," Daeho said. The face that appeared was alien but clearly intelligent. It had large yellow eyes and skin like wet leather. When it spoke, the computer translated its words into Korean. "Unknown vessel," the alien said. "I am Sub-Commander Velkesh of the Galactic Council. You will identify yourselves and state your business in council space." Daeho stood up and smoothed his uniform. First contact with alien life was a historic moment. He wanted to do it right. "Greetings, Sub-Commander," he said with a bow. "I am Captain Daeho Kim of the Earthship Taguk. We come in peace and friendship." Velkesh's eyes narrowed. "Earth? That name is not in our database." "What species are you?" "We are humans," Daeho replied. "We come from a world beyond the Helix Nebula. We have heard that your council rules this part of space. We would like to establish diplomatic relations." This was going better than Velkesh had expected. Most new races tried to fight or run when they met the council. These humans seemed smart enough to surrender immediately. "Very well," Velkesh said. "As representatives of the council, We claim your species and all your territory. You will submit to our authority and provide tribute. Your strongest warriors will serve in our armies. Your scientists will work in our laboratories. There was silence on the human bridge. Dr. So-Young Park, the science officer, looked up from her readings with confusion. Engineer Hyun-Woo Choi stopped working on his console. Everyone stared at the screen. Dae-ho blinked. I'm sorry, Sub-Commander. I think there may have been a translation error. Did you just say you claim our species? The translation is correct, Velkesh said impatiently. The Council rules all intelligent life in the galaxy. You now belong to us. Consider yourselves fortunate. We are feeling generous today. Usually we would simply drain your planet of all energy and be done with it. Commander Ji-hee-song stepped forward. Her hand was resting on her sidearm. Captain, I don't think these aliens understand the concept of diplomacy. Dr. So-Young Park was studying her scanner readings. She was a brilliant scientist with short black hair and thick glasses. What she was seeing made no sense. Captain, she said quietly, I'm reading some very strange energy patterns from their ship. Strange how? Dae-ho asked. It appears to be alive. The hull is organic tissue. The weapons are biological organs. And, sir, it's trying to drain energy from that asteroid field over there. Everyone looked at the main screen. Sure enough, the Council scout ship was pointing its tentacles at a cluster of floating rocks. The asteroids were glowing and slowly dissolving as their molecular energy was sucked away. Velkesh noticed their attention. Impressive, is it not? This is a small demonstration of Council power. Our bioships can drain energy from any source. Planets, stars, even living beings. Nothing can resist our hunger. He paused to let this sink in. Now you will follow me back to the nearest Council station. There you will be processed and assigned your new duties as servants of the Council. Dae-ho looked around his bridge. His crew was waiting for his decision. These aliens had just threatened to enslave all of humanity. They claimed they could drain energy from planets. They clearly saw other species as nothing more than property. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Dae-ho said politely. We appreciate your offer, but humans prefer to remain free. Perhaps we could arrange a different kind of relationship? Trade agreements? Cultural exchanges? Velkesh's eyes widened. In 300 years of service, no one had ever refused the Council's generous offer of slavery. You refuse? He sputtered. Do you not understand what we are offering? You get to live. Most species that refuse us are destroyed. We understand perfectly, Commander Ji-hee said. You're offering to make us slaves. The answer is no. Dr. Tae-min Yoon, the ship's xenobiologist, had been quietly studying the alien vessel. He was fascinated by the biological technology. Captain, their ship is definitely a living creature. It's like a giant sea creature that's been modified for space travel. Can it hurt us? Dae-ho asked. Dr. So-Young Park checked her readings again. I don't think so, sir. Their energy-draining technique appears to work on biological and simple atomic structures. Our quantum crystalline hull should be immune. Velkesh was getting angry. His ship's bioscanner showed that the human vessel was indeed made of metal. Crude primitive metal. It should be easy to drain. You have made a foolish choice, he hissed. Prepare to be consumed. The scout ship's tentacles turned toward the Taeguk. The tips began to glow with hungry energy. Bioelectrical discharges leaped across space, trying to latch onto the human ship's hull. The energy hit the Taeguk's shields, and nothing happened. On the Council ship, alarms began to sound. Velkesh stared at his readings in disbelief. The energy drain wasn't working. His ship was pumping out enough power to dissolve a small moon, but the human vessel just sat there unaffected. Impossible, he whispered. Dr. So-Young Park was smiling as she watched her instruments. The quantum crystalline matrix is working perfectly, Captain. Their bioenergy can't affect our molecular structure at all. Engineer Hyun-Woo Choi looked up from his console. Sir, we're actually absorbing some of their energy output. Our capacitors are charging faster than normal. Dae-ho nodded. He had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but the aliens had attacked first. Sub-Commander Velkesh, we strongly suggest you stop your attack. Our shields can handle whatever you're throwing at us. Velkesh was in shock. His ship's energy drain was the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. It had never failed before. How were these primitive metal builders resisting it? What are you? He demanded. We're humans, Dae-ho replied calmly. We're explorers, scientists, and builders. We don't want to fight, but we won't be enslaved either. The Council ship's attack grew stronger. More tentacles joined the energy beam. The space around both ships crackled with bioelectrical discharge. But the Teguk remained undamaged. Dr. So-Young Park was taking detailed readings of the alien technology. "This is fascinating, Captain. Their bioship is incredibly inefficient. It's wasting about 90% of the energy it generates. The biological components can't handle the power loads properly. Should we return fire?" Commander Jihai asked. Deho thought about it. These aliens had attacked them, but they were probably just following orders. He didn't want to start an interstellar war over a misunderstanding. No, he decided. Let them waste their energy. Eventually they'll have to stop. He was right. After 10 minutes of fruitless attack, the Council ship's biosystems began to overheat. Velkesh had no choice but to call off the energy drain. "This is not over," he transmitted to the human ship. "You have made an enemy of the entire Galactic Council. Our fleets will come for you. Our bioships will consume your world." "We hope it doesn't come to that," Deho replied. "But if it does, we'll be ready." Velkesh ordered his ship to retreat. As the bio-vessel limped away toward Council space, he was already composing his report. The High Command needed to know about this immediately. On the Teguk, the crew was celebrating. They had survived first contact with hostile aliens. More importantly, their technology had proven superior to the enemy's. "Sir," Dr. So-Young Park said, "I've been analyzing their energy signature. If that scout ship is typical of Council technology, I don't think they'll be as big a threat as they believe." "Why not?" Deho asked. "Their bioships are evolved to drain energy from natural sources, planets, stars, living tissue. But our quantum crystalline technology isn't natural. It's artificially created at the subatomic level. Their biological systems literally don't know how to process it." Commander Jihai Song grinned. "So we're immune to their main weapon?" "More than immune," Dr. Park replied. "We can actually absorb and redirect their energy. If they attack us, they're just charging our batteries." Deho looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was probably preparing for war. But he wasn't worried. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time in 3,000 years, someone had said no to the Council. Not only had they refused, but they had survived the punishment. On the slave worlds, whispered conversations began in dark corners. The Viridians, still mourning their lost planet, dared to hope. The Zelani, who had served the Council for 2 millennia, looked up at the stars with new eyes. Even the proud Tarkans, who had been warrior kings before their conquest, began to dream of freedom. But nowhere was the news more shocking than in the Council's golden halls. High Admiral Zekmoth read Velkesh's report for the 3rd time. His metal wings buzzed with agitation. A small scout ship had failed to subdue a single unknown vessel. Impossible. "Are you certain of these readings?" he asked the cowering sub-commander. Velkesh nodded rapidly. "Yes, Your Excellence. Their ship was immune to our energy drain. Our bioweapons had no effect at all." Grand Counselor Mordith, eldest of the Cathani, slithered into the chamber. His ancient tentacles dragged across the floor as he moved. He had lived for over 2,000 years and had never heard of such a thing. Perhaps their shields were simply stronger than expected. He suggested, "Send a battle group. 50 bioships should be more than enough." High Admiral Zekmoth wasn't so sure. The humans had seemed confident, not desperate. They acted like beings who knew they could win. "What if they have allies?" he asked. "Hidden fleets? Secret weapons?" "Impossible," declared Chief Scientist Yuxtar of the Urak. He was small and blue, with 6 arms and an oversized brain. "We have cataloged every advanced race in the galaxy. These humans emerged from an empty nebula. They are alone. The decision was made. Battle Group 7 would investigate this human problem. 50 bioships, each capable of draining a star, would show these primitives the price of defying the Council." Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity was preparing for war. Admiral Wansik Lee stood in the command center deep beneath Seoul. Around him, officers from every nation worked at holographic displays. Earth had been united for over a century, and when faced with an alien threat, old rivalries were forgotten. "What's our fleet status?" he asked. General Chang Ho Lim called up the tactical display. "We have 12 ships ready for combat operations. The Aegis is our most powerful vessel, a battleship designed specifically for fighting unknown enemies. The Aegis was humanity's proudest achievement. It was 5 kilometers long, built from quantum crystalline composites that could resist any known force. Its power came from miniature black holes contained in magnetic bottles. Its weapons could tear holes in space-time itself. Will 12 ships be enough? Admiral Wansik asked. Dr. Changmin Seo, Earth's chief scientist, looked up from his calculations. Against biological technology? Yes, sir. Our quantum systems are fundamentally incompatible with their bioenergy. It's like trying to use a key made of water to open a lock made of light. President Heejin Nam entered the command center. Her face was grim but determined. Admiral, the Earth Council has voted. We will protect the innocent species of this galaxy. Use whatever force is necessary. Admiral Wansik nodded. He had hoped for a peaceful solution, but the Council had made their intentions clear. They saw all other life as property to be consumed. Send a message to the fleet, he ordered. We launch in 6 hours. In the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, 12 human warships came to life. Their hulls shimmered with quantum energy. Their engines created tiny rifts in space-time. They were beautiful and terrible, like crystalline dragons awakening from sleep. Captain Daeho Kim watched from the bridge of the Taeguk as the fleet assembled. His ship was the smallest, but it had started this war. Now it would help finish it. Captain, reported Communications Officer Jae Sung-yoon, we're receiving quantum transmissions from across the galaxy. Everyone is watching, it was true. Every civilized species had quantum receivers that could pick up faster than light signals. News of the coming battle had reached every corner of known space. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy held its breath. On the slave worlds, crowds gathered around public screens. The Viridian survivors wept as they saw human ships moving to protect them. The Zilani prayed to their ancient gods. The Tarkans sharpened weapons they hadn't touched in centuries. On the Council worlds, the ruling races watched with amusement. 50 bioships against 12 metal vessels. The outcome was obvious, but deep in the galactic core, something else was stirring. The bioships had been grown from creatures that once swam in the dark spaces between stars. As the Council fleet moved toward the human sector, these ancient beings began to sing. It was a song of hunger and pain, but also hope. Battle Group 7 arrived at the edge of human space like a swarm of living nightmares. Each bioship was the size of a small moon, pulsing with stolen energy. Their commander, war leader Thektos, was the most feared Mordak in the fleet. His metal wings had been forged from the bones of conquered worlds. Deploy an attack formation, he ordered. Begin stellar drain. The bioships turned toward the local sun. This was their most terrifying weapon, the ability to drain energy directly from a star. They had used it to destroy entire solar systems. 50 ships working together could consume a sun in minutes. The human fleet waited in the shadow of a gas giant. They made no move to interfere as the bioships began their work. This puzzled Thektos. Any sane enemy would try to stop the stellar drain. Perhaps they're surrendering, suggested his tactical officer. No, Thektos replied, studying his screens. They're watching, learning. He was right. On the Aegis, Admiral Won-Sik Lee and his staff observed the bioships with scientific interest. Dr. Mi-kyung Park, the fleet's xenobiologist, was taking detailed readings. Fascinating, she murmured. They're basically energy vampires. They convert stellar plasma into bioelectrical power and store it in specialized organs. Can they hurt us? Asked Captain Mi-kyung Lim of the destroyer Hanul. Not with that technique, Dr. Park replied. Our ships don't use biological energy systems. It's like trying to drink light. The bioships finished their stellar drain. The local sun was now noticeably dimmer, its energy stolen to feed the living vessels. Thektos felt the familiar rush of power flowing through his ship's veins. Now, he declared, we show these humans why the galaxy fears us. The 50 bioships moved toward the human fleet like a wall of living death. Their hulls glowed with stolen starlight. Energy discharges leaped between them, creating a web of destructive force. But the humans didn't run. Instead, Admiral Won-Sik Lee opened a communication channel to all frequencies. His message would be heard on every world in the galaxy. Attention, Council forces, he said calmly. We appreciate the demonstration of your capabilities. However, we should mention something you might find interesting. The bioships continued their approach. Energy weapons charging, you see, the Admiral continued. Humanity has been building starships for over 2 centuries. We've learned to harness power from black holes, manipulate quantum foam, and bend the laws of physics. Your bioships are impressive, but draining power from a single star seems modest. Thectos sneered. Human arrogance knew no bounds. Destroy them, he ordered. The bioships opened fire. Beams of concentrated stellar energy lanced across space toward the human fleet. It was enough firepower to vaporize a planet. The beams hit the lead human ship, the Aegis, and something impossible happened. The ship absorbed them completely, not deflected. Not blocked, absorbed. The quantum crystalline hull drank the bioenergy like a sponge drinks water. The ship's power levels actually increased as the attack continued. On the Aegis bridge, Dr. Changmin Seo watched his instruments with satisfaction. Quantum conversion efficiency is at 98%, Admiral. We're gaining more power than they're putting out. How is this possible? Admiral Wansik asked, though he already knew the answer. Their bioweapons use stellar plasma converted to bioelectricity, Dr. Seo explained. But our quantum crystalline matrix can convert any form of energy into pure quantum force. We're not just immune to their attacks, we're feeding on them. The Council fleet fired everything they had. 50 bioships poured their stolen stellar energy into the human vessels. The space between the fleets lit up like a new sun, and the human ships just sat there drinking it all in. On worlds across the galaxy, billions of beings watched in stunned silence. The mighty Council fleet, conquerors of 10,000 worlds, were firing their most powerful weapons at 12 human ships. And the humans were unharmed, more than unharmed. They were getting stronger. Thectos stared at his readings in disbelief. His bioships were running out of stored energy. The humans hadn't even fired back yet. Impossible, he whispered. Nothing can resist stellar-level energy discharge. On the Aegis, Admiral Wansik Lee decided it was time to end the demonstration. He opened the communication channel again. Council forces, we've given you a fair chance to withdraw. Your weapons cannot harm us. However, we haven't shown you ours yet. He turned to his weapons officer. Captain Jun-Ho Shin, please demonstrate our point defense system. Captain Shin nodded and touched a single control. The Aegis fired one shot. It wasn't a beam or a missile. It was a focused gravity wave that twisted space-time itself. War leader Thectos had never felt fear before. In 500 years of conquest, his bioship had never been stopped. Now it hung in space, trapped by invisible chains of twisted gravity. Around him, 49 other Council vessels struggled helplessly against the human gravity locks. Report, he screamed at his crew. Biosystems are functional, his tactical officer replied with shaking claws. But we cannot move. Our navigation organs are confused. They think space itself has become solid. On the human fleet's command ship, Admiral Wansik Lee watched the trapped Council vessels with satisfaction. The gravity locks were working perfectly. Each bioship was held in place by a small distortion in spacetime like flies caught in invisible web. Sir, reported Captain Jun-Ho Shin from the support vessel Hanul. All enemy ships are secure. No movement detected. Excellent, Admiral Wansik replied. Now let's show them what real technology looks like. The Admiral opened a channel to the Council fleet. War leader Thectos, I presume? We need to have a conversation. Thectos's image appeared on the main screen. His metal wings were folded in defeat, but his eyes still burned with hatred. What do you want, human? First, we want you to understand something, Admiral Wansik said calmly. Your bioships are impressive, but they're based on a fundamental misunderstanding of power. Impossible, Thectos snarled. Our ships can drain stars. What greater power exists? Dr. Changmin Seo stepped forward. He was Earth's leading expert on quantum physics, a small man with kind eyes and a brilliant mind. May I explain, War Leader? You see, Doctor, my SEO began. Your bioships evolved to be energy vampires. They steal power from external sources, planets, stars, living beings. But they're terribly inefficient. Most of the energy they drain is wasted as heat. He gestured to a holographic display showing the bioship's internal structure. Your ships are biological organisms modified for space travel. They have all the limitations of living tissue, overheating, fatigue, cellular breakdown. They're powerful, but primitive. Thectos wanted to argue, but the evidence was undeniable. His fleet had fired everything they had at the humans, and the humans were stronger than before. Our ships, Dr. Seo continued, don't steal energy from others. We created ourselves. Each human vessel carries miniature black holes contained in quantum bottles. We don't drain stars. We make our own. The bioship commander's eyes widened. Creating artificial black holes was theoretical technology, far beyond anything the Council had achieved. That's not possible, he whispered. Would you like a demonstration? Admiral Wansik asked politely. Before Thektos could respond, the human battleship Aegis began to change. Its hull shimmered as quantum fields activated. The space around it started to bend and twist. Reality itself seemed to ripple. On bioships throughout the Council fleet, alarms began to sound. Their organic sensors were detecting something that shouldn't exist, a small black hole forming inside the human vessel. Impossible, Thektos breathed. You're creating a singularity inside your own ship. Not creating, Dr. Seo corrected, releasing. We always carry several contained black holes for power generation. This one is about the size of a marble, but it contains the mass of a small planet. The black hole emerged from the Aegis in a sphere of pure force. It hung in space like a pearl of darkness, bending light around itself. The gravity from this tiny object was stronger than anything the Council had ever seen. This is how we power our ships, Admiral Wansik explained. This is how we travel faster than light. This is how we bend space-time to create gravity locks. We don't steal power from others, we make it ourselves. But the demonstration wasn't over. Captain Mi-kyung Lim, commander of the fast attack ship Hanul, was preparing something even more impressive. Admiral, she reported, my fighter squadron is ready for launch. Proceed, Captain. The human ships opened their docking bays and something beautiful emerged. Dozens of small craft poured into space like silver fish. They were human fighter ships, each one no bigger than a house but powered by technology the Council couldn't understand. Major Yoonji Kwan led the fighter squadron. She was a veteran pilot with nerves of steel and reflexes like lightning. Her ship was called the Falcon, and it moved through space like a dancer. Fighters, this is Falcon Leader, she transmitted. Remember, we're here to liberate, not destroy. Target the control interfaces only. The fighters swooped toward the trapped bioships like a flock of mechanical birds. The Council crews watched in terror as the small craft approached their vessels. But instead of attacking with weapons, the fighters did something far more sophisticated. They used quantum disruptors. Each fighter carried devices that could interfere with biological neural networks. As they flew past the bioships, invisible, beams reached out and touched the organic control systems. On Thektos' ship, the effect was immediate. The bioship began to shudder and shake. The living walls of the bridge started to pulse with confused signals. The creature that was the ship itself was waking up. What's happening? Thektos demanded. Dr. Yong-Soo Nam, Earth's expert on xenobiology, answered from the Aegis. We're severing the neural links between your crews and the bioships. The creatures that serve as your vessels have been enslaved for millions of years. We're setting them free. Across the Council fleet, the same thing was happening. The bioships had originally been living creatures from the dark spaces between stars. The Council had captured them, modified them, and forced them to serve as vessels. They had been slaves for so long that they had forgotten they were alive. But now, with their control systems disrupted, they began to remember. Thektos felt his ship move beneath him, but not in response to his commands. The bioship was moving on its own, stretching organs that hadn't moved freely in eons. The creature was waking up after a million-year sleep. Stop this, he screamed at the humans. You don't understand what you're doing. We understand perfectly, Admiral Wansik replied. We're giving them a choice. One by one, the bioships began to break free from their controllers. The creatures that had been enslaved as weapons discovered they could think for themselves again. Some fled immediately, diving into the dark spaces between stars where they belonged. Others stayed, curious about these strange metal ships that had given them freedom. A few of the bioships turned on their former masters. Centuries of rage and pain erupted as the creatures expelled the Council crews into space. The aliens were caught in emergency life bubbles, alive but helpless. Thektos found himself floating in a small survival pod, watching his bioship swim away into the darkness. The creature moved with joy, stretching tentacles that hadn't been free in millennia. How? He asked the humans. How did you know they were enslaved? Captain Daeho Kim answered from the Tiguk. Because we listened. When your scout ship attacked us, we heard something in the energy patterns. The bioships were singing, a song of pain and captivity. We couldn't ignore that. The council fleet was gone. Some bioships had fled. Others had turned on their masters. A few remained nearby, apparently curious about the humans who had freed them. But the battle wasn't over yet. Deep in the Galactic's core, the Council's homeworlds had received news of the defeat. High Admiral Zekmoth was beyond rage. He was entering a state of fury that his species hadn't felt in 1,000 years. Prepare the core fleet, he ordered. Every bioship we have, every weapon at our disposal. Sir, his aide said carefully, that's over 10,000 vessels. If we move the entire fleet, the homeworlds will be defenseless. Then so be it, Zekmoth snarled. These humans have humiliated us for the last time. We will bring such power against them that their metal ships will melt like ice in a star. The aide hesitated. Sir, what if their technology is truly superior? What if we can't win? Zektos turned his blazing eyes on the smaller alien. Then we will die as warriors. But first we will show them the true power of the Council. Ready the Star Killer. The aide's blood turned cold. The Star Killer was the Council's ultimate weapon, a bioship the size of a small moon, capable of draining an entire star system in minutes. It had been used only once before to destroy a rebellion 3,000 years ago. If the Council was deploying the Star Killer, they meant to end this war permanently. Either the humans would surrender, or everything in their sector of space would be consumed. On the Aegis, Admiral Wan-Sik Lee received word of the massive fleet moving toward human space. His expression remained calm, but inside he felt a chill. 10,000 bioships were more than his small fleet could handle. Sir? Asked Captain Junho Shin. Should we call for reinforcements? Admiral Wan-Sik thought about it. Earth had more ships, but not enough to fight 10,000 enemies. However, they had something else, something the Council had never seen. Contact Earth Command, he ordered. Tell them to activate the Quantum Gate Network. Dr. Changmin Seo looked up in surprise. Sir, the gate network is still experimental. We've never used it in combat. Then it's time to test it, Admiral Wan-Sik replied grimly. Because if we can't stop the Council here, they'll take their rage out on every free species in the galaxy. The final battle was coming, and humanity was about to reveal their greatest secret. The Council thought they had seen human technology at its peak. They were wrong. The real demonstration of power was about to begin. The space near Earth suddenly filled with light. Massive rings of quantum energy appeared from nowhere, each one large enough for a battleship to fly through. These were the quantum gates, humanity's most secret technology. Admiral Wan-Sik Lee watched from the bridge of the Aegis as ships began pouring through the gates. Not just human ships, but vessels from across the galaxy. Word of the liberation had spread, and the formerly enslaved races were coming to help. The first ship through was the Pride of Viridian, built by survivors of the destroyed world. It was made from crystallized memories, a technology humans had helped them develop. Behind it came Zelani bioships, but these were different from Council vessels. They were partnerships between pilot and creature, not slavery. Captain Donghyun Ryu commanded the newest human ship, the Liberation. It was designed specifically for this moment, a vessel that could coordinate fleets from dozens of different species. Admiral, he reported, we have 300 allied vessels and counting. The Tarkans are sending their entire battle fleet. Even some of the freed Council bioships want to help. Admiral Wan-Sik nodded. This was what humanity had hoped for. Not conquest, but alliance. The galaxy's oppressed peoples were finally fighting back, but their enemy was formidable. The Council's core fleet was massive beyond imagination. 10,000 bioships led by the dreaded Starkiller. High Admiral Zekmoth commanded from his flagship, a creature so large it had its own atmosphere. Citizens of the galaxy, Zekmoth broadcast on all frequencies, witnessed the price of defying the Council. We will drain every star in human space. We will consume every world that supported them. Order will be restored. The Starkiller moved ahead of the fleet like a dark planet. It was the ultimate bioweapon, grown over millions of years in the depths of space. Its hunger was so great that it could drain entire solar systems. Dr. So-Ra Jung, Earth's chief diplomat, tried one last time to avoid total war. "High Admiral, please reconsider. Your bioships can be free. Your people can choose their own path. This doesn't have to end in destruction." Zekamoth's laugh was like breaking metal. "Freedom? Choice? These are the delusions of the weak. The galaxy belongs to the strong. We are strength incarnate." "No," said a new voice. "You are fear incarnate. And fear always loses to hope." The speaker was Captain Haewon Kim, commander of the human ship Harmony. She had spent years studying council psychology, learning how their minds worked. "Your entire civilization is built on consuming others," she continued. "You drain planets because you're afraid of creating your own power. You enslave bioships because you're afraid of making true partnerships. You rule through terror because you're afraid of earning respect." "Silence," Zekamoth roared. "Begin the final assault." The council fleet attacked with everything they had. 10,000 bioships firing at once created a storm of energy that lit up half the solar system. The Starkiller opened its massive maw and began to drain power from Earth's sun. But humanity was ready. The human ships didn't fight the energy drain. They redirected it. Using quantum field manipulators, they turned the Council's own attack into a weapon against them. The stolen stellar energy was converted into pure quantum force and fired back at the bioships. Dr. Changmin Seo coordinated the defense from the Aegis. Quantum conversion at maximum efficiency. We're turning their hunger against them. But the real surprise came from the Allied fleet. The freed bioships began to sing, not the pain song of slavery, but something new. It was a song of freedom, and it reached across space to their enslaved brothers in the Council fleet. One by one, Council bioships began to hesitate. Their attacks faltered as they heard the freedom song. Some started to turn away from the battle, confused by feelings they hadn't experienced in millions of years. Major Yunji Kwan led another fighter strike, but this time her target was different. Instead of disrupting control systems, her fighters were broadcasting something new, the quantum signature of free choice. "All bioships," she transmitted, "you have a choice. You don't have to fight. You don't have to serve. You can be free." The effect was immediate. Hundreds of Council bioships simply stopped fighting. They remembered what it felt like to choose their own actions. Many expelled their crews and swam away into deep space, free for the first time in eons. High Admiral Zekamoth watched his fleet disintegrate and felt true despair. His bioships were abandoning him. His crews were surrendering. Even his own flagship was beginning to resist his commands. In desperation, he turned to the Starkiller. "Drain everything. Consume this entire system." The massive creature began to feed on Earth's sun with terrible hunger. The star grew noticeably dimmer as its energy was stolen. If this continued, Earth would freeze and die. But Admiral Wansik Lee had one final card to play. "Dr. Seo," he ordered, "activate the Solar Restoration Protocol." Dr. Changmin Seo's hands moved across his controls with practiced precision. Deep within the Aegis, the ship's miniature black holes began to work in reverse. Instead of generating power, they started releasing it. Pure quantum energy flowed from the human fleet into Earth's sun. Not stolen energy like the Council used, but freely given power created by human technology. The sun blazed brighter than ever as artificial energy mixed with natural fusion. The Starkiller tried to drain faster, but it couldn't keep up. For every unit of energy it stole, the humans were adding 10 more. The massive bioship began to overheat as it tried to process the impossible influx. "What are you doing?" Zekamoth screamed. "Something you never learned how to do." Admiral Wansik replied calmly. "We're giving instead of taking." The Starkiller's biological systems couldn't handle the energy overload. The creature that had consumed countless worlds began to rupture from within. But instead of dying, something miraculous happened. The massive bioship began to change. The artificial modifications that had turned it into a weapon started to fall away. Underneath, the original creature was still alive, a being of incredible beauty and intelligence. As the control systems failed, the Starkiller's true consciousness emerged. It looked around with newly awakened senses and saw what it had become. The horror of its actions hit like a wave, and the creature cried out across space in a voice like singing whales. Captain Haewon Kim was ready. "It's all right," she broadcast on biofrequencies. "You were enslaved. You had no choice. But you're free now." The Star Killer, now just a magnificent space creature, turned away from the sun and began to sing. Its voice was picked up by every bioship in the fleet. The song spoke of freedom, forgiveness, and the possibility of redemption. The Council fleet collapsed completely. Bioships fled in all directions, seeking the deep spaces where they belonged. Crews in survival pods broadcast their surrender. The war was over. High Admiral Zekmoth found himself alone in his command pod watching his empire crumble. "This is impossible," he whispered. "We were the strongest. We had the most powerful weapons. You had the hungriest weapons," corrected Dr. Sora Jung. "But hunger isn't strength. Fear isn't power. True strength comes from what you're willing to give, not what you can take." 3 months later, the galaxy was a very different place. The Council's homeworlds had been transformed into refugee centers, helping displaced species find new homes. The former ruling races found themselves equals among equals, learning to live without slaves for the first time in millennia. Captain Daeho Kim stood on the observation deck of the Taeguk, now converted into a hospital ship. Around him, beings from 100 different worlds worked together to heal the damage of 3,000 years of oppression. Dr. So Young Park had established the Galactic Science Consortium on the former Council capital. Here, species shared knowledge freely instead of hoarding it for war. Bioships visited regularly, offering their unique perspectives on life and energy. The Quantum Gate network had been expanded across the galaxy, allowing instant travel and communication between worlds. Trade flourished. Art bloomed. For the first time in millennia, the galaxy was at peace. Admiral Wansik Lee, now retired, taught at the new Galactic Military Academy. His students came from every corner of space, learning not just how to fight, but when not to fight. "Power," he told his mixed class of humans, Kathani, Mordak, and dozens of other species, "is not about what you can destroy. It's about what you can protect, what you can build, what you can give to others." A young Mordak student raised her wing. "But Admiral, how do you stop those who would abuse power?" Wansik smiled. "You show them something better. You prove that cooperation is stronger than domination. You demonstrate that freedom creates more power than slavery ever could." In the deep spaces between stars, the freed bioships had formed communities of their own. They sang constantly now songs of joy of freedom, of the day the metal ships had given them choice. Their music could be heard across the galaxy, a constant reminder that even the most enslaved could be free. The Quantum Gate network carried more than ships and messages. It carried hope former slave worlds were rebuilding. Ancient cultures were rediscovering their heritage art, and music flowed between species that had never been allowed to meet. Captain Mi-kyung Lim now commanded the Galactic Patrol, a joint force of ships from every world. Their mission wasn't conquest but protection, keeping the peace and helping those in need. "Thanks for you."